Bonjour à tous. Hello everyone, and welcome to the press conference for Lawless. And I will start by introducing the people who are behind the camera and brought you the film today. Composer and scriptwriter, Mr. Nick Cave. And director John Hillcoat. As you know, because you've all seen the film today, this is very much a family story, so we'll start by introducing the people who do not belong to the family. As Charlie Rakes, the meanest guy that walked on screen today, Mr. Guy Pearce. As Jack's friend, Cricket, the sweetest guy to walk on screen today, Mr. Dane DeHaan. Getting closer, the paramours, as sweet but rebel Bertha, Maya Wasikowska. As tough as nails, but not quite, Maggie, Miss Jessica Chastain. As Jack, Mr. Shia LaBeouf. As Howard, Mr. Jason Clarke. And as Forrest, Mr. Tom Hardy. One American, one Australian, one Brit. Perfect Virginians. And there's a question over here. Si vous pouvez apporter le micro là-bas.
Hello, Pierpaolo Festa, Italy. Question to Tom Hardy. You playing tough guys in Tinker Tailor in this movie and the next Batman. I would like to know, I think about Nicholson playing with his axe to be tough on set. How do you work between takes, I mean, to get tough, to be badass, to be pissed off? Thank you.
I actually play Scrabble. You should try it, buddy. It's kind of hard. And I lose as well, because Jessica's beats me, actually, at Scrabble. And Battleship.
Yeah. Question here, then there.
Yes, over here. It's a question for Mr. Cave. This is based on a book, a true life story. Did you work with Mr. Matt Bondurant at all? And did you feel a sense of added responsibility since you were telling somebody's family story?
No. Well, I didn't actually have anything to do with Matt. He wrote an incredible book. The script was absolutely a dream to write because it was all there, all the dialogue, everything like that. He's a great writer. It was a beautiful book, and it was child's play to write it, really, because of that.
Question here, and then here.
Hi, Stephen Schaefer, Boston Herald. It's one of the bloodiest movies I think we'll see all year, and I just wonder how it was to go back to the 1930s with this lawlessness, as the title implies for everybody. Did you have gun training with this? And Shia, you seem to have had a very low profile in the last couple of years, but you're here with a little film you've made, I understand. Can you talk about that?
I don't even know where to start with that. I made a short film. It played yesterday. People were very nice to me. It was really enjoyable, incredible experience. In terms of gun training, I don't know. We all, at least the brothers, we all worked out pretty hard. We were always in the gym, always. That was like our community. I mean, that's where that was our brotherhood started in the gym, it feels like.
Jason.
Well, Jason was in his own gym. He didn't want to work out with us. But yeah, I don't think there was not a lot of fight training either. You know, the fight scene I did with Guy, that was really organic and it happened really fast. And that's the way Hillcoat does his violence. You know, it's messy, it's dirty, and it's realistic. And so it's not rehearsed like a ballet. You know, it's rough around the edges.
Sir.
Hugues Dayer, Belgian TV. It's a question for Mr. Nick Cave. I'm here. You mentioned the novel, but I would like to know, on a personal level, what do you find so appealing, so exciting in the Prohibition time, and do you think it's a kind of Western in the 20th century?
I mean, I didn't really have that much interest in the when it was actually set. It was more the flavour of the book that really took me. I really loved the kind of classical love stories that were involved in the story and the excessive violence. And those two things coming together is just what really kind of titillates me. Kind of sentimentality and brute violence. Yeah.
Question au fond, whoever has the mic, whichever of the two. Go ahead. Allez-y.
Rodrigo Fonseca from Globo Brasil. Question for Mr. Hillcoat. Yesterday here in Cannes, we've seen Once Upon a Time in America from Sergio Leone. Was the Leone film a reference to you? What other gangster movies did you use as a reference to recreate that era?
I'm a huge Sergio Leone fan. What inspires me about him and a lot of filmmakers is the way they transform genre into a much more real, exciting world in their own way. And it's the references really with this were more about Bonnie and Clyde was a big one, Arthur Penn's, but it was more actually photographic and historical and about the Appalachian area and the history. So just to get under the skin of that world.
Question over there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Moreno Pisto from Donna Moderna, Italy. Two questions for Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf. In Lawless, you are two young men full of ambition, but in your real life are so ambitious. And what do you think about prohibitionism? Yesterday was on alcohol.
Is that a country?
Start again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do we think about prohibition?
What do you think about prohibitionism? Yesterday was on alcohol, today is on light drugs. Is it correct or not for you?
Prohibition.
Tom?
You're the head of the family.
As the professional in retirement, I'm not sure about the drugs and drink stance, really. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to make any political statements or anything, but there's a good argument to say to legalize drugs, and there's also a not so great argument, you know what I mean, to say don't, you know, the opposite. So that's my stand is, you know, whatever floats your boat, just don't get caught.
Question over there. Go ahead.
Next question, I think it's best.
Okay. I thought I'd save your butt.
Hello, Taneli Topelius from Finnish newspaper Ilta-Sanomat. One for Mr. Hardy and then one for Mr. Nick Cave. Mr. Hardy, you are acting with Gary Oldman in many films, including Tinker Tailor, this one, and Dark Knight Rises.
So I can't get a visual on you, mate, so this is coming out of... Hello. Sorry.
Hi. Can you define these different experiences with Mr. Gary Oldman, and please tell the most interesting bits about those different experiences?
Well, Tinker Tailor Soldiers and Batman. Yeah. What was the thing is, the first time I worked with Gary, I had to watch him, and that was it. So we had to reshoot because actually my beard fell off while I was talking, so we had to go back and reshoot the entire scene that I had with him in Tinker Tailor. But I spent, which is good, because I spent my entire experience with Gary staring at him and not returning any lines, because I think he's basically God, you know. The second time I was playing kind of God, so I ignored him. Kicked him a bit, you know, that kind of thing. But Gary Oldman is one of my heroes completely, so I did nothing but glean from him.
Question over there, and then the gentleman.
Hello, Ben Hoyle from the Times. A question for John Hillcoat. You're one of 5 films that have been grouped as American films in competition here. I wonder if you could tell us how you see the state of cinema in the US at the moment, and whether you are part of a new movement in American cinema.
Don't know about that. I have always thought of films as stories for the world, which is the nationalism. America, I am interested in stories in America, obviously, as well, and Australia, and anywhere, really. But the state of things is pretty tough, as everyone here knows. And particularly in my world, which is the kind of medium budgets. Also, they're films that have character and drama, and those are words that you cannot use in the United States at this time. So that I find quite distressing. Hopefully, there's going to be a movement against that. I think television, HBO, etc., has really kind of picked up the ball on, exciting characters and drama, and I hope that can filter back into film once again.
Sir, and then the lady.
Hi, Baz Bammy Boy from the Daily Mail. Nice to see you. I want to ask the ladies, Jessica and Mia, about their roles, because you're not exactly gangsters, Moles, but you're sort of a little bit bad. Talk to me about those 2 ladies. And Jason Clarke, I want to know how you that noise that you made. What was that? And do it for me. Thank you.
Do you want to do the noise, Jason? Yes. Should we start with that?
I'll get a couple of espressos and I'll be back.
I guess I approached Maggie that she was this woman that came from a very difficult situation, and she finds herself with these 3 brothers. She's a woman all of a sudden in this house where they're not used to having a female presence at all. She also, because she's comes from a lot of experience, she has a way about her that is more of the, I guess, aggressor, the male position that typically the woman wouldn't take. And it was really interesting for me to see the relationship between Maggie and Forrest. It's almost like, he's so great with violence and aggression, but yet he's feminine in his reaction to her. So their roles are reversed.
I don't know, I always find myself drawn to characters that feel a little bit at odds with the time that they live in, I guess. So, characters that are, particularly female characters that are fighting their society or the time period that they live in is always interesting to me.
The noise, Jason?
I watch a lot of Animal Channel. I do. Sorry? Was it all you? Unless Nick and John are building me up and telling me it is me, and it's not, I think it's me. They said it's something in post-production I don't know about. It was just, John, bigger, Jason, bigger, go bigger.
There's a lot of armadillos there as well. Might have been a bit of that.
Question over here and then over there.
Sorry. Hi, Tatiana Venza for W Radio from Colombia. Question for Jessica Chastain. You were here last year. You are here again. How do you see your career going? How is it to be back at the Cannes Film Festival?
It's amazing to be back. It's kind of the marker on the last 12 months. I mean, Cannes the Film Festival is very special to me because it was like my introduction into the business in a way. It was when Tree of Life premiered, in that premiere with Brad Pitt and Sean Penn. It was the beginning of these 12 months, and to be back again with another film that I love so much. and Madagascar, which I also love, is great. I can't imagine, though, I'm going to be back here every year with 2 films. That's you know, I'm happy to be back whenever.
Question over there, and then here.
Hello, good morning. My name is Inger Merete Hoppelstad. I'm representing Norwegian newspaper Dagbladet. Congratulations on the film. I have a question for Mr. Cave and a question for Mr. Pearce. For Mr. Cave, you just said at the beginning of this session that you were fascinated by the sentimentality and the violence. So I was wondering whether you could elaborate on that, what it is about the violence in this particular story that interested you, and what you think about the way it's been realized on screen. And then for Mr. Pearce, this is of course quite a big role you're doing. It's perhaps with some touches of camp even. So I was just wondering how you went about shaping this magnificent villain and how you were working with the director to make him what he eventually turned out to be on screen. Thank you so much.
As far as the violence goes, I'm not that interested in violence per se in films. A lot of it's very tedious and boring, but there's something about the way John Hillcoat deals with violence that I find really exciting right from the start, right from the very early movies that no one even knows about, which we won't speak about. But there was a relationship with violence that was really exciting. It's very brutal, very quick. It's all over very fast, but it leaves a huge mess behind, and that was what really kind of excites me about the way John deals with violence. So it's not so much that gratuitous violence is of particular interest to me, but it's more the way in which I think John Hillcoat deals with it that's so exciting and refreshing.
I forget what you really
Over
asked.
to you, Guy.
It was about work, but being camp, that's right. Well, I think it was just about this character was there on the page. I mean, I find I have to really just respond to what's there on
the haircut wasn't there on
the haircut wasn't there on the page.
No. That was Guy's invention. The haircut was Guy's invention.
Something was on the page that inspired the haircut. There was just a quality to this character that I felt he was so caught up in his own sort of judgment of the world and his own distaste and disgust of everything around him that his vanity really played a big part in that. And I thought he was had a really sort of obscure view of the world through that. And John and I talked sort of early on, and there were some things that I wanted to do that just expressed this kind of obscure vanity that this guy had. And, you know, so the look of the character and I guess his disdain for everything around him, you know, ended up therefore being the character that I played. I don't think we talked about playing camp though, but that might have just been me coming through. I'm not sure.
But I have to add that there was a photo of Guy when he first had his hair done that Nick was sent to Nick, and he showed his 2 gorgeous boys the picture, and they couldn't eat for 2 days. Put them off their food.
We just wanted to create somebody who was extremely creepy, extremely caught up, as I say, in his own obscure view of the world, and just somebody who was kind of memorable.
Question over there. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Donald Clark from the Irish Times. Enjoyed the film very much, guys. Nick, first, could you talk a bit about the music, what your approach was to that, in particular how you blended authenticity with not quite authenticity? I don't think Velvet Underground were around in that era. And also I'd like to talk to John, if there's a chance as well, just talk about the notion of blending all these Australasians in with these Americans. Was that a conscious decision, or did it just happen that way?
I think as far as the music goes, we really we didn't want to make a worthy Americana-style soundtrack. It's been done, and it's been done very well in things like Brother, Where Art Thou and that kind of thing. So we wanted to stay as far away from that as possible. And I think I think personally the idea of prohibition, and this film is actually a modern film in its way, because as the gentleman over there was talking about with prohibition, it still exists today. It still fails epically. with the so-called war on drugs and all of that sort of stuff. So there was a kind of gleeful idea of fusing modern-day concerns, such as a Velvet Underground song about taking speed and amphetamine, like White Light, White Heat, and doing it in a kind of bluegrass, authentic American style that seemed to pull the present back to the past in some kind of pleasing way. So that was really the logic behind that.
If I may interfere before you talk, Mr. Director, was dialogue part of writing the score? Because there seems to be such a specific sing-song to the genuine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
maybe
happened
off the mark.
with The Proposition, another film that me and John worked on. I did the music and the script, so I can't help but think of both things at the same time, you know, and kind of they work together. I'm always thinking about the music in my head when I'm writing the script, really. So,
thank you.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes. I'm sorry, sir.
Australians, Aussies, all I can say is there's a lot of great talent that comes out of Australia, and I love working with great actors, and I feel like I was very blessed with this film in the sense that we were all like a family in terms of our commitment together, and that and Australians, Aussies are part of that. We had a mixture. To me, it's just whoever's right for the part, actually, as opposed to national borders.
Question over there.
Hello, this is Yanis from Greece. This is a question, I guess, to the director. I would like you to tell us how, because you mentioned TV a little while ago, and I suddenly thought of Boardwalk Empire, which is a very nice TV series about prohibition. Nice. And then I thought of the Michael Mann film, Public Enemies. The bottom line of the question is, how do you explain this fascination of filmmakers and writers on this specific era of the prohibition? Because movies and TVs keep coming back to that era.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there's always certain zeitgeists that go on. Genres always feed off of that, and I think we're in a time of a lot of instability and insecurity, and as Nick said, there's a lot of parallels to today, with the economic crisis, the political crisis, the war on drugs. At one point, we even had a montage at the beginning of the film that started with what was happening with the Mexican cartels and rewound through the 80s and the Cubans and cocaine and heroin in New York and went way back and landed on prohibition. And where it kind of all kicked off, that was the birth of serious organized crime. And it's been going ever since, and I think so it feeds into all of those things that are going on today. Hence, you have movies about it, and TV.
Question there, then here. Go ahead.
Hi, it's Anita Singh from the Daily Telegraph in London, and it's a question for Tom Hardy. You've done a lot of Hollywood films now. Does that mean it's effortless for you to master the accent? Was it effortless in this case, or were there particular challenges? And just a second question, do you think of yourself as a British actor in Hollywood, or is that an artificial boundary now? There's a personhood argument as well in that, and I just see myself as a person, full stop. And wherever the team is, where the work is at, which is really good, I want to be on the team where they're doing the best work. So it doesn't matter where that is, and that might mean I'd have to learn a few languages as well, if I have to. And the first question was. Do you know what? I've only done 2 American accents really, and then a couple of not so good ones. So I'm still a bit nervous about the American accent. But this was so specific and strong a colour that there's a little bit more mask work to be done for me. So it's a little easier to hide behind an accent like this, which was not necessarily an accent, but more of a personality and a character. So I didn't feel like I was doing. It's funny. It's more like a voice that came from a centre than an accent. And the same with Warrior. I had a very similar monosyllabic, but central character to come from. So I wasn't caught up with dialect. As soon as that happens, I panic and I start. Look, I'm not Australian in Tinker Tailor for a reason. It wasn't a choice. No, that's not true. I chose to be British, but my accent work isn't always amazing. Not that it's amazing here.
Question.
Yes. Hello. Bertrand L'Aiguillon from France. I have 2 questions about your characters, Christian to Guy and to Shia. First, Guy, you gave us an answer about how you chose your look. I found your character the most extreme, almost sometimes coming out of a cartoon, very violent. I was wondering how the movie is based on a true story, as it is reminded at the beginning of the film. How close are you from the real character, the DA? I mean, and a question to Shia. Your character, you played a man in Wall Street, a teenager and paranoiac, and this one seems like in between. Do you agree? And how did you work on the transformation between a teenager and a man that he seems to become in this story?
I don't have much choice about my age. I mean, I am as old as I am. Disturbia was, I was 18 years old. Wall Street, I was 22, 23. Here I'm surrounded by men, so I feel very vulnerable, and I appear very vulnerable. I don't think, it was always on the page. He's a very vulnerable guy. He's a teddy bear. He really understands business and strategy, but has no appetite for violence. I don't think it was an age thing. Being around Jason and Tom, I obviously appear like a young buck, but no strategy on my side.
I knew from the beginning that this character that I was playing was had been changed from the book. And so I chose not to read the book because I didn't want to find myself struggling with any changes potentially that were made, and I may not have, but I just found there was so much in the script for me that I didn't feel like I needed to read the book. So I actually have no idea how much like the real character, the version that I've played is. I don't think he's like him at all, is he? A bit?
Well, the big difference is that Guy brought a specific sort of bent to this character that in the book he was much more of just a more kind of familiar villain that we've seen many times. He was, it's all true what happened in terms of the showdown and his eventual demise, the brothers, and got to him. But yeah, so Guy, it was very a great collaboration in terms of coming up with something a little more idiosyncratic and specific.
He wasn't from the city in the
yeah book, no he was a corrupt deputy that was not from Chicago, and that was one of the key differences. We wanted to highlight the conflict between city and country, and in the book it's much more dense and complicated, and so we needed to simplify for storytelling purposes.
Question over there.
Hi, I'm Asmayani Kusrini from Rumah Film Indonesia. I would like.
Je représente la presse indonésienne.
Once you said you are happy to be getting old, and how's age influenced your script writing from The Proposition and now Lawless? Thank you.
What was the question again? I'm happy. I got the first bit. Oh.
Take the shot.
It's getting very old.
You said you are happy to be getting old.
The only person who says they're happy to be getting old is someone who isn't actually old yet. I'm not that. Every day I get less and less happy about that idea. My memory's gone. And I have to use the thesaurus a lot, dictionaries a lot, enlarge the type, all that sort of shit. It's awful, and I don't recommend it to anyone.
Question here, then Baz. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. This is Parviz Johed from the BBC Persian, and my first question is to John Hillcoat and Nick Cave as the scriptwriter. And the question is regarding to the narrative of the film.
Can you talk in the mic?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's about the narrative style of the film. As Nick Cave said, it's a fusion of traditional film and the modern film. But the narrative style is a bit linear, and you use voiceover at the beginning and in the end, but leave it during in the middle. I would like to hear your comment on the narrative style. And the other question is to Tom Hardy.
Could you do it one step at a time?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Just quickly then on the narrative. I mean, that was just a book is very dense, and the book had extra characters like Sherwood Anderson, this journalist aspect. So we just simplified it. And try to. The narrative was very much based on what happened with these characters and the consequences of violence and how that entered their lives and affected them. So that was really it, just boiling it down.
I mean, we were very, we were concerned on some level about the truth of the story about the Bondurans. I don't know if this is what you're actually asking, but we're also wanting to make a film and something that you can sit down and watch in a couple of hours and all of that sort of stuff. So, that's what we had to do. It says this is a true story at the start, but I don't really think that there is such a thing. And we tried to just, I don't think there's such a thing as a true story, really.
And I'd just add to that every step, even Matt, who's a very talented writer, did storytelling things to express things, dialogue that he couldn't have accessed from those times.
I mean, I'm sure the Bondurans will be very happy when this film comes out, though.
They already are. They've seen it, yeah. They're very pleased.
Nick Cave, have you had the assassination of Jesse James? That's all in your mind when you were writing the script?
No.
All right.
Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't have any other films as such in my mind. Why is it like that?
Yes.
Have you seen the assassination of Jesse James?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Have you? I don't see any correlation between the two films in any way.
What about the voiceover?
Oh, there's a voiceover in Jesse James?
There is.
Although there's voiceover in all good films.
Voiceover is not familiar with Western genre.
No, that's true. So they say Westerns don't use voiceover, right?
Oh.
But it's not a Western.
So that's okay, right?
It's a mixture of genre.
Okay, you had a question for Mr. Hardy.
Tom Hardy, your style of acting reminds me the young Marlon Brando. Have you ever influenced by him? Because the way you behave and you talk in this film, particularly in this film. Thank you.
Well, no, do you know what? I haven't even seen The Godfather. And I haven't seen On the Waterfront. And I haven't seen A Streetcar. But I have seen a lot of photographs. And that's a very nice thing of you to say. I appreciate that. But no, it's not conscious, if there is any comparison to be made. And that's very, very, very high praise indeed. Oh, apart from the Tea Rising Shanghai, what was the one where you played the Chinaman?
Tea House of the Other Spoon.
Yeah, that one wasn't so great.
Baz?
Hi, just wanted to ask a question of Dane, because we haven't heard from him. Was Cricket a real guy? I mean, was he an invented character? And quick question to Jason Clarke, the Mountain Man. Whereabouts in Australia are you from? And because we don't know very much about you, at least I don't. So can we hear from these two dudes, please? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, Cricket's in the book. He was a real guy. I think that we took him down in age for this, if I recall correctly. And his story doesn't follow exactly what it was in the book, but as far as I understand, he was real and he existed and he's in the book, so yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm from a place called Winton, which is where Nick and John shot The Proposition. Where that was shot is where I was born.
Where's that? Is that WA?
No, it's like outback Queensland, way outback, out near, it's about 8 hours west of Townsville. Yeah. Sheep farm, that's exactly right. My father was a sheep shearer.
On that strange note, I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much.